We just put out a podcast yesterday, but something has changed. We have to make an amendment. Amendum?
Not an amendum.
Amendum.
An amendum.
Yeah, that is like an amendment, but an
Well, Maya's here. I'm here. The boy is in the room.
Okay. So Maya and Tony Valentino, we got the boy. The boy doesn't know much about this subject.
Yeah. So yesterday, you brought up something that I had never heard of before. I had never seen these channels before.
Oh, shut up with it. We're talking about body cam footage and how we're addicted to watching body cam footage on YouTube.
Yes. And in the podcast, we talked about this in Maya's weekly podcast on her Patreon.
Yes.
But yesterday, we had mentioned what a weird dystopian phenomenon these YouTube channels are, these body cam channels.
We love it. And it's sort of like a breakout phenomenon because over the past 10 years, just to get you caught up, over the past 10 years, we've all decided that we need to have police wearing body cameras.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
And I think it is super important, and it actually, I think, helps. We watched a few little news exposés on police body cam footage. They say now that approximately half of the police in the country wear body cams.
They're not always on.
They're not always on, but they wear them.
Yes.
And them being in the streets, there is some evidence that it is helping. And that it is helping basically the metric they're using is that there are fewer complaints by the public about police behavior when those police wear body cams.
So fantastic. So here we are that we have all of this body cam footage because we have new tech, yada, yada, yada. And we have these YouTube channels that we watch all the time. Tony introduced me to these channels, by the way.
How dare you out me like this?
So
well, you had said on the podcast that it's like, is it a dirt, like what did you call it? Like a dirty pleasure, a secret pleasure?
Yes. Is it one of your secret pleasures to watch this?
Should we be ashamed of how much we love watching these channels?
People watch cops, though.
I know.
This is like TLC, except without the middleman. This is what I feel.
Right.
So I'm not really ashamed of it because we're doing it for research. However,
we are doing it for research.
Peering into the worst possible day of a lot of people's lives,
yeah.
Or just peering into the life of someone you would never see because you would never interact with a person this messy.
Yeah. So there are some really, really great YouTube channels devoted to this kind of content. And it basically it's cops without the presence of a man holding a camera.
Yeah, because you see these body cams and some of them are just little clips on the eye, some of them are clips on the chest, and you can't really tell.
Right.
It looks like another piece of equipment.
Yeah, and then a lot of times you can even, like, the people that the police are interacting with aren't as aware of the presence of a camera. During the interaction, the police even seem to forget occasionally that they're wearing a camera.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's as raw as it possibly could get.
Yeah, and so what we discussed yesterday was, should we be allowed to watch this stuff? Now, I came down on, unless a person's convicted of a crime.
I think all the channels get their footage from FOIA requests from police departments, and every state is different.
Yeah.
Every county is different, I think, in California, of how, like, when they'll release what footage.
That has to make sense, because I was expecting a really good channel to come out of California from LA, people who aren't working in the industry who want to be working. So I was expecting a really good channel to be coming out of California.
With some good editing. And
quick editing, good storytelling. And we're seeing it. Some guy in Wisconsin is doing a better job than California.
So Code Blue Cam is Wisconsin. So he focuses basically primarily on Wisconsin. Like, I know somebody on Reddit had said that, like, Arkansas would make the best police chase channel because there are fewer regulations in Arkansas of, like, when they can do a pit maneuver on a fleeing suspect and stuff.
You are way too inside baseball. These people have not been watching hundreds of hours of cop body cam footage. They don't know what a pit maneuver is.
But what's okay, so when you, like, hit the fleeing car with your police car, that's a pit maneuver.
To cause it to go off the road.
Right, and in Wisconsin...
Which is, like, the best videos.
And in Wisconsin, there's, like, regulations, and you have to be pit certified to do that.
And you should be. That seems very dangerous.
But apparently in Arkansas, you don't.
Anything goes.
You can't FOIA request an encounter in Arkansas unless you're a citizen of the state of Arkansas.
Yo, get on it, guys.
Somebody in Arkansas,
get on this. Learn to edit. Put a story together. We'll send you books. We'll coach you.
But it's interesting because, like you said, well, I feel like we're in the process of solving a problem. I firmly believe the more cameras on encounters with police, the better for everybody.
I used to be fairly radical against the police.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm happy there's body cam footage now.
Right.
Because whether it proves me right or proves me wrong, at least we know. Like, it's some solid evidence one way or the other. I used to be very radical. Remember that time we were driving down, I think it was like Fairfax, and there was a cop just talking to a guy, and I was like, he probably wants to go around the corner so we could beat that man. That's how radicalized I was around 2015.
Yeah, and if you've only had negative encounters with police, there's no reason why you shouldn't feel like that. But these police body cam interactions, and actually it's not even just that the people encountering the police are protected. The police themselves are protected from people just making stuff up.
Yeah, because we've heard people call rape when they weren't being raped.
In these videos.
We watch way too many of these.
But the other thing is, I think it's important for people who have any preconceived notion on either side, like pro or anti-police, seeing these encounters, because it actually shows that it's not as straightforward as all cops are bad or all people are criminals that they encounter or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there are police body cam videos that show that police can be really terrible, and some that show that the public can be really terrible, and it's just a lot more complicated than we've been told.
Right. Now, the unintended consequences seems to be that we live in this insane dystopia. Like, we'll be watching some of these videos where this is the absolute worst day of this person's life, and now a video of him having some freak out in a parking lot and getting arrested has 10 million views.
Yeah, and that's why I say it should only be people who are convicted and special to do with the sentencing where these get released, because it's just too damaging to people's reputation. Like, yeah, sure, if you're a degenerate, if you're the town degenerate and your reputation's ruined already, fine. But if you're having the worst day of your life, it shouldn't follow you forever and ever
no matter how entertaining it is to watch.
Yeah, and some of them aren't that entertaining.
Some of them are not, but...
and it's not worth it to ruin a person's life over... A lot of people call the cops on BS. They shouldn't be calling the cops. The cops don't need to be getting involved, and we don't need to see a video on YouTube of it.
Right. There seems to be, and I think this is going to change, especially after what we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
That there's no set standard of like which of these videos can be just put up on the internet. Like, because
it seems to go by what the law is in that state and what videos people can get their hands on.
Right. But YouTube hasn't like put any restrictions on any of this. Really?
No, it just has their regular restrictions.
Yeah, a lot of the channels aren't monetizable, but that doesn't stop these channels from like including their own ads
and merch. They got merch. Yeah, so they still make money, and then you have YouTube Premium. Like, I'm a premium that they automatically get money whether they got ads or not. So I don't think they're making that much from YouTube Premium, but they're probably making money through Patreon and merch.
Yeah. So we seem to have solved, or in the process of solving a problem, created an entirely new, very weird dystopian problem.
Yeah. So we swallowed a spider to catch the fly that was police brutality. And that spider seems to be public shaming and the repercussions.
Right. Because we've seen some videos of like teenagers just being hammered, like an 18-year-old just hammered, that their video now has 5 million views. Does that, like, that's going to probably have an impact on that person's life at some point?
Yeah, earning potential. Like, are you going to hire this person?
Yeah. Just
off the bat, are you gonna risk a scholarship? Are you gonna risk admitting him to grad school? Like, all this stuff. Like, he seemed like he was going places, and we've all been 18 and drank too much, couldn't hold our liquor.
Right. We're not even talking about somebody driving hammered, which is like a pretty serious thing to do, and you shouldn't do that. Like, there are some where the charge at the end of the video, they're like, this person was charged with resisting arrest, and that's it. I'm like, that seems...
Why'd you arrest him?
Yeah, why was he being arrested if the only charge is resisting arrest? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there are also... And we should get to why we have to make a new video.
Yeah, there was a video that went pretty viral on Twitter. I didn't actually see it on any of our channels, but a woman was arrested for masturbating on a beach in Florida, I think. And the reason it
was
caught
it
on...
Georgia?
It was somewhere. The reason it caught on the way it did, though, is because she basically admitted to doing it when the police came and talked to her.
Yeah, and this is why it's important to watch this body cam footage, because you need to know how to act around the police. Don't admit you did anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you haven't seen the video, apparently this woman was what she thought was completely by herself on a beach masturbating.
Yeah.
And a family called the police. Which
and who is this family?
Don't do that.
What a bunch of jerks. They're like, oh, they had children. Like, you know where children come from. We should probably explain to children where they come from first.
Well, give her a hey, knock it off. Like, hey, we could see you, knock it off.
Well, leave this woman alone. Yeah. Let her enjoy herself. Who the hell are you? Where's this family with his children?
That's our boy. Sorry,
that's our boy. And he's on a titty right now. And you know what? It's fine. That's where kids come from.
This is how it works.
Yeah, this is how it works. This is puritanical people.
Yeah, so this woman, the police came after the family called the police, and they basically told her why they were there. And she said, I didn't know anybody could see me. Yes, I was doing that.
So
and then they arrested her.
Yeah, so she didn't know she was breaking a law, really, because she thought she was alone on a beach just being a free person.
Right.
And there's two different types of people in this country, at least two. There are people who are cool, like this lady, and there are people who suck, like the family, who would call the cops on someone trying to have a good afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the husband or the wife being like, because she was a pretty woman. She's like, where did she get off? And I have children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so not only
prudes.
did she get arrested for something that seems like BS.
Didn't hurt anybody.
But then somebody FOIA requested the body cam footage of the police encounter, and she went super viral.
Because she's hot.
And the reason we're making this video is because I found out this morning that she ended her own life.
Are we supposed to say she yeeted herself?
I think that's what the kids are saying.
Yeah, because something to do with the algorithm will be like, you can't say because it's mean.
Well, now I have to censor you saying that.
Well, I don't like us cleaning up the language, but the actions are the same.
Right.
It is so stupid. This woman is no longer with us. Mm-hmm. Basically, because this family needed to intervene where they shouldn't have.
And then the internet somehow got its hand on.
And the cops should have just been like, you know what? This isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
There are three different places where this could have been stopped.
Mm-hmm.
One, the family could have not done it. Two, the cops could have been like, this isn't a big deal. It doesn't matter. And we could have a mature public who's like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
At no point. Everyone in this situation is a bunch of assholes.
Right.
I should just say.
And again, the reason that this went as big as it did is that she admitted to doing it.
She should have just been like, yeah, right. I don't know what you're talking about.
She didn't have a good encounter. What she should have said was, no, I wasn't. You can't prove I was. Deny.
When you're talking to the police, yeah.
Be aware of what
you say
evidence
can be used against you in a court of law. Yeah. So, you're not talking to your friends. You are talking to the police.
Right. And to cover everything that I heard, there is apparently a narrative that it wasn't a suicide, that she was murdered. But the official report says that she suicided herself.
Yeah, so we don't know, but it is plausible that she could have committed suicide because this amount of public shame
mm-hmm.
for a regular person,
mm-hmm.
like not a celebrity, not someone who's putting themselves out there, but just for a regular person, it's too much, and it shouldn't be allowed. So if it was murder, okay, but we still need to consider that this could lead to actions, or it could lead to more domestic violence within families because you've embarrassed me, or follow-ups from this, that we just don't need to be introducing millions of people on YouTube to people's personal lives.
It's so entertaining, though.
Oh, we're going to keep watching it.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep watching it because I still watch TLC. I talk trash about it, but I watch it all the time. 1,000-pound best friends, follow up to 1,000-pound sisters. Also research.
Yeah.
It's all research.
And what we had said on the podcast is like we just got finished watching a $250 million budget, probably, movie. And we were like, all right, well, let's see what's on YouTube. Well, ended up watching a 40-minute long like DUI arrest. And I was so enthralled by the arrest. And I was like, how are they competing?
Well, that's a totally different story.
Competing?
That's a totally different story. Can Hollywood even compete in this next generation against reality? And the more Hollywood stays in its bubble, like it's a social bubble, it's a philosophical bubble, the less they can compete with reality because there's more divorce from reality than ever before.
I think that's why that movie. Remember that movie Tangerine? Did you see Tangerine? That felt like where things are kind of going, right? Like that was super raw. That was like, it wasn't a found footage movie, but it felt very like real because it was shot on a phone. It was like just following this woman through the streets
by people who know what life is like. Because when you start to filter through Hollywood, you get generations of people who haven't lived any lives, haven't encountered people who get the cops called on them.
Yeah. So I don't know what the takeaway is.
But we're following it. We're going to keep following the story. We're going to bring you up to date on whether she was murdered or whether it was a suicide. Officially right now, it was a suicide. And we can still ask these questions like, is it right for us to be all up in these people's business and to shame them publicly when they haven't been convicted of any crime?
Right. Because again, it is, in my opinion, very, very important that there are cameras all over every interaction with an authority like the police. Right?
Yeah.
Like that can't stop. So if we're going to say that this is like another level of punishment on top of because what did you say the other day? That this should be calculated into the judge saying whether or not, like, what your sentence is.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a reduced sentence, but this video, the video of your encounter is going to go on the internet.
Public shaming, because there's a place for public shaming and, keeping people honest.
Yeah.
But to just put it out there when a person is actually really sorry for what they've done. Yeah.
I don't know.
We're seeing, hey, we're doing it live. We're seeing it live. We're seeing how all this stuff falls as it may. It's crazy that we get to see this.
Yeah.
So RIP. And don't call the cops on people unless they're hurting somebody, unless they're a danger to themselves or others. Don't just call the cops.
Yeah. That's the other big takeaway from this. Stop just calling the cops.
I thought a boob. Call the cops. You suck as a human being if you do that. You should know that.
She didn't even have anything exposed.
Yeah.
She was literally, I think it was an over the swimsuit situation.
Oh my God.
Because she was using a tool, a vibrator.
And there was no other person involved. It was just her by herself.
And there was no nudity involved.
Yeah, the cops didn't need to be involved.
No. But like you said, the cops could have shown up and just been like, don't
do that again.
Like, even after she admitted doing it, they could have just been like, well, don't.
Yeah, because the cops suck. The cops suck, and the people who called sucked, and the people who watched it and shamed her suck, and everybody sucks in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, but that's the other thing, is I think it is, like I said, important that people see these interactions because it does kind of beat a lot of preconceived notions that a lot of people have, especially if you spend too much time on certain other social media platforms.
Yeah.
Like the interactions with police and all races of people.
Oh, yeah. We just watched a video right now that will throw the entire racial narrative out the window. It was a black homeowner that was calling the white police on these white squatters. And he was like, I can't, I'm invested in this property. I'm trying to fix it up. And these trashy white people are ruining it.
And he had a gun on him, told the police, like, yeah, I carry a gun. Everything was cool. It's something that I think a lot of people don't expect, but that happens every day.
He was the property owner. They were defending his property. And it was funny because in this video, everybody seemed to have a gun.
Yeah.
Because it's the United States. Everybody's got a gun.
Everybody had a gun in that situation.
Because they found, I don't want to ruin it. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll link it down below. I am going to spoil it, actually. I'm going to spoil it right now. They get to this guy's room, and the police are like, we got a gun on you. And the guy's like, well, we got a gun on you. I got a gun on both of you. And the police are like, what? Well, we have a gun. I've got a gun. I'm going to give you 5 more chances, the guy says. I'm going to give you 5 chances to put your guns down because I've got a gun on you. And then it seemed as though everyone involved in that situation, all the police, the man under the bed, and the homeowner, everybody had a gun.
Right.
That'll keep you honest more than a body cam.
A gun cam?
Everybody got a gun.
Everybody's got a gun.
Everybody got a gun. We're in a Mexican standoff, just in a regular police encounter in Ohio.
But that's really important for people to see that, like, it's not always like what we're shown on Twitter.
No.
Like, it's not always complete. Like, it's not always a complete binary situation.
Yeah. No, because I can only imagine. Yeah, you have to throw away all of the racial dynamics for this particular video. But you do adopt the European stereotypes that Americans are f***ing crazy.
Yes.
Because everybody had a gun.
Yes.
And we should have had health care. I'm just going to link it at the bottom.
There's a woman in this video who is squatting in this house, being taken care of by a drug addict because she has spinal meningitis and has nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
It's the bleakest thing I've
There's
seen.
needles everywhere, guns everywhere. This black man just wants to get these people out of his house.
So he can renovate his house.
So it's an investment property.
Man, it's complicated, huh?
It's super complicated. Anyway, so that's what we had to add.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, this is a clip from my Patreon-only podcast. Subscribe for more, if you want.